Welcome to Think Free with Stephen
and Daniel.
Two brothers breaking down ideas and ways of thinking about this thing we call life. Unlock your mind to explore more than you ever thought possible. Think Free. So we can start, and I don't really have a topic. Do you have a topic? I have an idea, but it's not really a topic.
No, I figured you had a topic. Like we have been doing.
Details, I know.
Details.
So,
was this just a catch up?
Well, you had asked if we had time to podcast, and I said yes, but then I didn't really realize until like yesterday that I said yes and we didn't have a topic. So then I was like, maybe we'll think of one. And then it was 1 o'clock.
It was 1 o'clock, and now it's 2:24.
Yeah.
Well, let's just make this a meetup then. We don't have to force anything.
All right. I'll say one thing, and then we'll see if it goes anywhere.
Okay.
As far as like something we could publish.
Okay.
For
right now. Not redo later.
Yeah.
Okay.
See if what I'm about to talk to bring
I
up
got
turns
it.
into something.
We'll try it. Okay.
Yeah.
Go.
Got nothing to lose. Okay, so we've talked about games. We all play games.
Uh-huh.
We all find things that we're doing that are specific to us, and been using that a lot lately. Like, I think I was telling you earlier about the kids and Christmas and having traditions and all this sort of thing. And I have to tell Isaiah now, like, if I'm trying to make a point, like, we don't want you to be assholes at Red Robin, because it's kind of hard to enjoy our meal when you guys are being goofy and bouncing around and stuff like that. I just have to be like, all right, the game where Mom and I are playing right now is we want to have a relatively peaceful dinner. Are you guys okay with that? Because otherwise, they're just going to call us on our bullshit and be like, you're just playing a game that you care what other people think about you or something like that.
Oh,
so
double-edged sword.
It is. Yeah. Like once you've taken the genie out of the bottle, you can't put it back in.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. So I was thinking about other games too, that I more practical things like trying to get ahead in life or trying to get an advantage. And I don't know about you, but I really like finding a deal or getting a discount or getting a TV for a certain price that's unheard of or something like that. I also like going into
some deal that other people maybe can't get.
Yeah, or they didn't know about.
Yeah.
They didn't find it or didn't research it, or that you expect that TV's like around $2,000 at Best Buy or Walmart or something else.
Yeah.
But you stumble on some website that's having some clearance and it's at $1,300 and you can't even believe it. You're like, maybe there's some ripoff. Maybe it's a Chinese knockoff. But you're like, no, the model number's the same and there's the reviews and deal ends tomorrow.
Not that there's necessarily anything wrong with a product from China.
Right. Yes. Anywhere in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I just need to put that disclaimer out there.
Yeah, there's a little bit of our Bruce Preston bias coming through. Because most of it is, anyway. Right. Even if it's at Walmart and Best Buy.
It is.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, and even that desire to want to do that. I mean, that's why like Amazon does the flash deals, the flash sales.
You're getting a little bit of an edge.
Yeah, and you got to get there quick. Mm-hmm. And these ones are only going to start at this time. I mean, Black Friday.
So with that thing, you're getting an edge on the company maybe, but also you're getting an edge on other buyers.
People. Yeah, absolutely.
Other people that might have spent more than you did for that.
Well, because the flash sale it fills up, so only a certain amount of people can get that deal. So it's like you've got to win the lottery.
You're one of the selected.
Yeah.
Or another example. This is like the Fast Pass or whatever they call it now, the genie thing at Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sense of like, I figured something out, and I'm not better than you, but my experience is superior to yours right now.
Yeah.
Or the TSA pre-check. We've talked about this. And just being able to be like, wow, there's like 300 people right now that I get to walk past. And I used to always be the person and watch the people walk past, and I was fucking just like they're stupid.
Yeah.
But now I'm the person, I don't feel stupid. They're stupid.
Yeah.
People who don't have it. Or showing up to a restaurant where you did a call ahead and you walk in the door and you walk past like 20 people who all have looked like they've been standing there for 3 hours and just want to kill themselves. And they're looking at you like, yeah, good luck, buddy. You're about to join us. And you just waltz up to the counter and get sat in 3 minutes. You just feel like you're the king of the world because you knew some insider trick to jump the line.
You have more privilege.
Yeah, you got to exercise some privilege because of your superior knowledge, because you knew that you could call ahead at this restaurant and everybody doesn't know, or they didn't think about it and you were prepared. And then you feel like if you're the person that's been staying there for 45 minutes and somebody waltzes in and gets sat ahead of you, you feel like there's some injustice. Maybe that's been done if you don't know why. You got shafted.
Which is why at like the doctor's offices, they have the plaques that different procedures going on at
you may not
different
be
times.
order.
That you arrive.
Yeah, seeing different providers.
Yes.
Yes, because people are going to pitch a fit. I've been here for 45 minutes. Why does he get to go ahead of me?
Right.
Yeah, there's that innate thing that shows up in these areas, whether it's flash sales or Genie line or getting sat ahead. Or if it's like, we call it a hack, maybe trying to hack the universe or trying to hack our life. It's one thing to maybe do something in your own life, set your alarm a little bit earlier, or drink a full glass of water before you have your coffee and you'll drink less coffee or something like that. Like those little kind of individualistic hacks that we do to maybe improve our life or to get ahead.
Or beating Google or Apple Maps by 2 minutes.
Right. It's on. Yes. Yeah, you leave and it says you're going to get there at 12:02, but you're supposed to be there at 12. You're like, I can make that up.
Yep.
Yeah, you feel good. And you kind of wonder, do they leave that in there so that people can get that hit?
Oh, there you go.
Because if it always worked the other way and you're always 2 minutes later, then you wouldn't get the satisfaction and you wouldn't use the product or whatever. So you could go down
if they always aired on that side, you'd never be mad at them, but you'd be mad if it always showed up later than what it said it was going to be.
Right. Because it gave you the time based on an exact, perfectly executed trip where you hit all the lights and nobody was slow and all that, which they obviously factor in when they give you the estimate of time. So so you just want to be ahead a little bit. You want to gain some advantage in the universe, whether it's in your individual life or it's against the maps or it's other people. I think we can all relate to this at some level. And the self-improvement field of books and podcasts and sermons and religion and everything else is about that too. Like, how do you optimize yourself? How do you hack your entity to be able to do better at the thing, at living, at thinking? Like, people start podcasts and promote them as, this will help you think better if you listen to our podcast. Weird. I know. Who would do that? And I was listening to Alan Watts recently, and he was talking about this whole thing.
Who's Alan Watts?
Alan Watts. Yeah, he is maybe a guru, a self-improvement or a non-duality teacher. I don't know if he's written too many books, but he did a lot of lecturing back in like the 60s and 70s. He's dead now.
Oh, okay.
But he's got a lot of
R.I.P.
Yeah, for sure. He's got a lot of recordings out there. He was popular at the same time with Ram Dass and people in that Eastern religion and that sort of thing. Okay. So he did a lot of teaching about non-duality and mixed in a lot of Eastern spirituality. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by Jared's yelling in the background. I'm like, should I go tell him to stop or
just bang on the wall?
Shut up. Yeah, playing Fortnite over the internet or something. Jared, shut up. That worked. We're trying to record a darn podcast.
Okay. Yeah.
That'll help. Alan Watts. Yeah, so Alan Watts is a spiritual teacher, somewhat of a guru, did lots of seminars and retreats, and talked a lot about non-duality, being present. He's a lot like Ram Dass, Eckhart Tolle. And he passed away as far as I know. I don't know when. And one of the things I was listening to recently in one of his talks was about the idea of separateness being an illusion, that the universe is comprised of one isness, and either something is or something is not, but something can't be not that is, because how can something that is be something that's not? And so he's relating this to when we die, where do we go? Do we just become nothing? Well, you can't become nothing because you're something now. And so you have to always be something that's just defies reality that you could go from something to a no thing.
Okay.
Yeah, right, exactly. A little bit of a squint.
Okay. Are we like digging into like you're talking about when we say we? Is that consciousness?
An individual human. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I gotta go talk. It's just too distracting. I thought to myself this morning, I was like, maybe we should do an episode where we don't edit anything. We just let it run.
Oh, yeah. Long form podcasting.
Yeah. So I might cut this part out, but
okay.
Not necessarily all the ums and pauses and
great
stutters and stuff like that. Just to see.
Do it. Yeah.
But the yelling and the hollering and the getting up and going, talking to him, I might have to cut that out.
Yeah. And then, well, yeah, just so that we don't lose people, probably
right.
even just being bored. But we do need to announce that our next podcast is going to have a special guest.
Okay. Do we tell who that next special guest is going to be?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So for our 10th episode, we are planning to introduce, for the first time ever on Think Free, a third person.
Yes.
Also known as a guest. Does that cover it?
Yeah, that was a great introduction.
Okay.
That was great.
You just did it.
Yep.
Yeah. Isaiah Preston.
Oh, okay.
Is going to be our guest / third
fantastic
host. Yeah.
Wow. First time we have a guest on the show.
First time. So you get to hear somebody other than our two voices.
I mean,
talking.
We're two white guys doing a podcast
with the last name of Preston.
And the next step is to have a guest, right?
Oh, another white guy with the last name of Preston.
There's only
there's just
400,000 other podcasts just like this, so
yeah.
No big deal.
We're going to stand out by taking the most predictable step possible.
Of course. We'll prove them wrong.
Yes, for our 10th episode to celebrate. That's such a milestone.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. It'll be our first recorded episode of 2024.
That's true. Yes, because we're recording this one near the end of 2023.
Correct.
No idea when it's going to come out, which I was puzzling about that last night too as I was falling asleep. I was thinking the idea to have a present moment that you and I are experiencing right now, and whoever is listening to this, whenever they're listening to it, it'll be their present moment as well. But it won't be this present moment. No. But they'll be hearing it as if it is their present moment.
Yes.
And how rare and new that is, because prior to the ability to record your voice, which, 100 years, 120 years, maybe it's been around. So even if you say humans have only been about for 6,000 to 7,000 years, if you take the most conservative estimate based simply on a religious book.
Okay.
If humans have been around for longer than that, which many people think they have, the amount of time that we've had the ability to record a person's voice and play it back at a different time is fractional.
Oh yeah. Tiny.
Tiny.
Yeah.
So it does kind of mess with your brain a little bit when you hear somebody on a podcast or a radio program or a song and they talk about something that's happening right then, but you know it's not happening then, it's happening in the past. Like anybody listening to this right now, for you and I, it's still the present, but for them, when they listen to it, it's going to be their present. But when we said this, it's going to be in their past.
Yes.
Mind
blowing.
It's crazy.
It's
freaking
crazy.
Amazing. Yeah. To be, and then to go on to another tangent to say, which there are no tangents. Thanks, Rob Bell. That the past is only an illusion, and the future is made up because we can't go to either one of those, so we can't prove that they exist. We can only imagine them in our minds.
Because all we have is now.
But how long is now? How many nows are there? Now is infinite.
Well, there's an infinite amount of nows.
Right.
Every instant.
But it's not a different now. It's still the same now. Because to say there's a new now is to say there was a previous now, but the previous now is an illusion. And a future now can't exist.
So the current now is just evolving?
It is the thing that is separate from time. We have to construct time.
Right. Oh, I was just reading something, a book about that actually, about the human invention of time.
Yes. It's a construction of our consciousness.
Yeah.
And somebody had asked another spiritual teacher, Rupert Spira, about this, and I was watching a TikTok last night about it, and they said, why do we lose time when we go to sleep? Why do we go to sleep and then wake up and feel like no time has passed at all? And this was his very well thought out explanation for that, which was that our time is a construct of our consciousness, and so we go to sleep, our consciousness is suspended, so we don't have time, doesn't exist anymore, because it really doesn't, but we're not make believing that it's existing. So when you go to sleep and then you wake up and you feel like it's just been a second or a minute, that's why. And that basically is evidence that the time that's passing is just our own perception. It's a made up thing.
Right.
To say there was a past, to say there's a future. So whoever's listening to our voices saying this right now, for their now, is different than the now than you and I are experiencing as we're saying it. But it's not, because there's only
I was going to say, but it's not a different now.
It's not. Right. But we construe it as a different now.
Yeah.
Because if we told the date that this was recorded and then the date that the person's listening to this aren't going to match up. And so that
because we're not streaming this live.
Right. Exactly. So then where our brain builds that was the past. But the past doesn't exist. It can't exist. We can't go there. We can imagine going there. We can think about what it would be like to go there, but we can't actually go there any more than we can travel to the future.
So then should we not use any past tense words?
That's a good question.
Can you say that I threw the ball?
Right. Or I'm throwing the ball. I'm always just currently doing the thing.
Well, what if previously we would say I had thrown the ball 5 minutes ago?
Yeah, I don't know. That one hurt my head.
I know. I agree. Well, then you think about too, like even you think about like you were kind of talking about like consciousness. Well, then you have like your subconscious or your unconscious. Different people talk about at the same time. Like, what? How does that all play into the entire thing of us being, unique species on this planet as far as. And going about this life and not having time. And then at the same time, we have a consciousness that we know ourselves exist and we are here and we can sense our space in this time moment of where we're at. And we also have an unconscious part of our being, person, who we are. So weird.
Yeah. The unconscious is the thing that we don't have to manage, that we don't control, that controls us, that keeps our heart beating, that makes us breathe, all that stuff. Yeah, and if we don't have a concept of the future, then our organism doesn't sustain itself, which could be a good explanation for why we have a concept of time. Because if I'm only aware of the now and I don't have a make-believe of a past or a present, the past gives me information about what I consider the past gives me information about what I should do in the future, or the made-up future, or what I think is the future. So I know that if I don't eat, I get hungry, which is a past reference. So I'm going to expect to eat in the future, even though there is neither a past nor a future. But my constructs of those inform me in a way that allow me to get food and sleep and do all the other necessary bodily functions for the organism to persist. And so if I didn't have those concepts, I might not ever have a reason to eat or sleep or do anything else and just perish. Right. So it could just be a simple biological construction for the purpose of evolutionary persistence.
Absolutely. Especially even probably like we talked about in ancient civilizations, like even the need for humans to move from this hunter-gatherer state even to a more complex society, and even at the level of 32 people or 100 people, just having different tasks and different things to do for their unified goal of continued existence.
Right.
They had to have construct a, even just at that type of organic and just nature level, like kind of to just continue evolving and like literally evolving of going from hunter gatherers to farm crops and things like that, agriculture, and stone and iron and all of that.
Planning ahead.
Yeah.
Basic planning ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like, you like the movie Lucy. You almost like we would need to unlock more of our brain potential to be able to understand a existence without a time construct,
Yeah. We'd have to just transcend where we're at currently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's no compatibility. Spiritual teachers, non-dual teachers, like we were talking about, Rupert Spira and Alan Watts and Ram Dass, can theorize about it, and you can sit in one of their sessions and you can get into that space or watch a video, which is kind of what got me on this topic in the first place. Get in that space, and then you're like, yeah, but you still got to do the dishes and go to the bathroom and eat and brush your teeth. And like, how does that all work if you're not in time? Or yeah, so there's a conflict between that concept and the practical needs of living. We need some sort of software upgrade to be able to reconcile those in a way that doesn't feel like a conflict, I think. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to say it. I like that. So going back to Alan Watts, spiritual teacher, distinction, his point he was making is this urge or this desire to get a better deal than somebody else, or to skip the line, or to find out a life hack that allows you to do a thing better than other people around you, is a product of the illusion of separation that we have. The more we think that we're distinct from other people or the universe itself or nature, the more we need to be better than it. The more we need to get an advantage over it. So we need to dominate nature. We need to figure out how to beat other people at a game, to compete, to stay ahead, to get some sort of advantage. Is just a simple factor or product of our believing that we're separate. And to the degree that we understand or acknowledge or remember that we're all connected, that we're all part of the one, that whatever happens to you happens to me, and vice versa, then we kind of lose that need, that drive, that sense of, I need to get a one up on you, I need to be better, I need to get a better deal, I need to get ahead of you in the line, because there's no competition, because there's no separateness. And he even goes so far as to talk about it in relationship to spiritual practices, spiritual disciplines.
Hold on, before you go to spiritual,
Yeah.
Remember what you were going to say about spiritual practices.
Sure.
But with everything else that you were just saying, it reminds me, it seems like one could argue very easily that, just like in our last conversation, a structure like capitalism reinforces that separateness. Structure.
It does.
It reinforces everything that you were just mentioning, and encourages that aspect as well. So
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point. Yeah, it definitely feeds off of that. They kind of feed off of each other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't have, I think part of what we've talked about too, like with the software upgrade, you alluded to this in the last one, is we need something to come in that isn't another ism.
Right. Yeah.
And that other thing that is not another ism would also probably have to include this new collective awareness of not being separate, of not being individuals that are just have to be out for their own, or take care of their own self or their tribe or their family, or it's us against the world kind of mentality would have to be improved upon, to use that language, or to be upgraded, or to be phased out, and support for Windows 10 and the crazy thing. They're going to end it next year and predicting like millions of units of waste. Anyway.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
I think they were all thinking that with XP though.
Yeah. People kept
when it
using
happened. Yeah.
People don't care.
Yeah.
They're not as concerned about security updates as Windows thinks they should be.
They're more concerned about capitalism, about profits.
Right.
So they're weighing the risk of using them versus that.
It's less about, I don't get security updates anymore, and it's more about my software doesn't run anymore.
Right. Yeah. Slowing down or things like that. Yeah. But a lot of the businesses though don't really have much processing need for it, like, so if it's a POS, point of sale for a retail system or something like that. Like,
Yeah, 95 might still be doing the job.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Unless they're worried about cyber security attacks or something like that, and they're not getting the security updates. That could be the difference.
right,
Versus the
Yeah.
the home user.
yeah, yeah.
So spiritually, Alan Watts was saying something I had never thought of before in regards to spiritual practices, spiritual disciplines, which was a big part of my life growing up in the Christian environment, was reading your Bible, praying, going to church, witnessing, getting sanctified, like doing all these things to become a better Christian, not because it got you saved, because you're already saved, because of something you couldn't do, but it was a good idea to do these other things to become a better version of a Christian and to get closer to God and to be a better influence and to just have a healthy, happier life if you did these specific practices and disciplines. And most religions have them. Eastern religions have things like meditation and charity and yoga and other practices that include depriving the self or going without or deprivation, that sort of thing, to try to help you become a better person, more disciplined, more enlightened, more in touch with the divine, all that sort of thing. And so Alan Watts was equating those endeavors and those practices with the same kind of yearning to be better, to hack the system, to be more spiritual than your fellow man, even if you don't say that, because you're supposed to be humble and you're not supposed to try to be better than other people. In the spiritual realm, he was painting that with the same brush as wanting to get ahead in line or get a better value on a TV. You want to be more enlightened. You want to improve. And his criticism of that was because of the fact that everything is as it is and can only be as it is. It's perfect now because whatever is what's perfect because it's the thing that is. Kind of going back to the present moment thing. You can't. If you're sitting right now, you can't also be standing. So you could stand in the next moment, which is also an illusion, of course, but you can't stand and sit at the same time. You can't have your eyes open and closed at the same time. So wherever you are, whatever position you find yourself in at any given moment is perfect. It's perfect because it's the way it is. You may wish it to be differently, but it isn't imperfect in and of itself. So to try to improve oneself through self-help books, through seminars, through listening to amazing podcasts like this one, or doing spiritual practices, is to reinforce the game of separateness. It's to reinforce the game of imperfection. It's to reinforce the game of things aren't good enough and I need to work at it and hack and figure out how to get better myself. And that's not to say that you shouldn't do those things. It's just to say it's part of the game. And then I had to realize, even me saying, oh, I know this. Oh, that's cool. I learned something. Like, that's me feeling like I've got an edge on people who don't know the thing that I just said. Right? Because I know that people are just doing this to get an edge, but that makes me feel like I have an edge. So I'm just doing the very thing that I've just discovered, which brings us full circle back to, and that's the game I'm playing, is that understanding that we're all playing games helps me feel better somehow, which I only would feel as if there was some sort of separateness, which I only think that because I think that I know about the game, that separateness is a game.
Holy cow, dude, slow down. My gosh. So, oh my God. So, not separateness. And yeah, well, yeah, a lot of that. Yeah, there's a lot of folds there because there's even talking about what it, like you can't, nothing's better or worse. So you can't even try to work on yourself because that is kind of an oxymoron,
right?
In this kind of situation of what we're talking about for it. So yeah, I know. I think we need to be able to unlock more of our brain for us to achieve some of this. I mean, you got to think like, we didn't come from monkeys, right? We came from whatever. I can't remember all the names.
A
common ancestor, right? So that's why we still have
monkeys
here. Okay. So we came from this common ancestor But to think about how exponentially in a super small amount of time, our brains, we developed so much more than any of our other relatives from the chimpanzee family. And
great apes and all that.
Like huge jump. And yet they theorize we're only using a fraction of our actual cerebral potential.
Right.
I've got 2 books. One I'm reading right now, another one in a queue about theories about psychedelics and the past of history of human nature, and especially in religion. And even like going into like thinking about possibly like connecting some reasons to believe that maybe even psychedelics were part of the reason for such a large jump in our mental consciousness opening up to begin with. So it'd be interesting to see as more our society is more willing to kind of open up kind of research even to do on psychedelics. It'll be interesting to see
if that has more things, more potential.
Yeah. Obviously it could take, well, still in our mind, a long time, thousands of years, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I don't think it's any secret that any of the people that I've mentioned as, these great thinkers or these gurus or non-dual teachers have all had lots of experience with mind-altering plants. It's pretty rare. I can't think of anybody that I've ever spent a long time having my mind twisted up in knots about, after hearing their ideas about reality that weren't influenced by plants in some form. So 100%, it's like the ultimate hack. If we're talking about like hacks,
right? Exactly.
Consciousness hacks. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. I read a book on that a few years ago. It may be the same one that you are. I don't know. It's, I can't remember the name of it now. It's a long title, but the religion of no name or something like that. The secret of the religion of no name, or the history of the religion with no name.
No.
But it was a person who went and investigated all the ancient religions, the Greek and Roman times, and the impact of drugs, basically hallucinogenics or entheogens, they call them now. But it's essentially the types of chemicals that open us up to a different, deeper reality or touch God. So
I can't find it.
It's a fascinating study, and I think like where I'm at, or like what's the point of all this for me, even talking about this or speculating or calculating, because if we are far enough away from it, we need an upgrade to really get there. It's like I might be at the stage where I'm saying, I kind of hate eating raw meat all the time, but sure it would be cool if we had a way to magically transform this raw meat into something that was easier to chew. Before fire was invented, there's fire on the horizon, but before you even maybe find the need for fire to cook, you get discontent with the way things currently are. I don't know if that's how fire got. Nobody knows. Obviously, we can speculate, but maybe
you're saying you're discontent.
I'm saying I'm discontent with, accepting the game of separateness.
Okay,
but I also don't know how to.
But then you have nihilism, so then you're like, how do I?
Yeah, which is another game of separateness. So I can't get out of the loop. You know what I was saying earlier, and you're like, hang on, that's too many layers. Like, just the loop, it always comes back to, nihilism, but that's just a game too of separateness. Because why be nihilistic? If
why not just play the game of just saying, I don't give a.
Oh, I can't.
I don't give.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm not content with raw meat. Yeah.
Okay.
I imagine. I speculate.
No, I'm saying just live in your American White House with your picket white fence, man.
I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What else are you gonna do?
Right.
You're just gonna go around in circles.
Right. Or I'm gonna chase a bigger, better house. I'm gonna chase attention, affection, and praise. I'm gonna chase people, women.
Well, no, I know I wasn't getting that deep. I was saying just stop thinking so deep and just go to your 9-to-5 job. And
well, that's
a lot easier.
That's what I was getting at. It's like some people find fulfillment in that pursuit, and I don't. And I find fulfillment in this pursuit, which I don't think is necessarily better.
Yeah.
Or more wholesome or more enlightened or anything. I just think it's the game that I want to play. And I don't really know why any more than why some guys want to own 3 trucks and other guys are content without one. Yeah, it's just...
Well, and that game that you're wanting to play, just like we were talking about in that episode, kind of like with the spouse, if your spouse want to play the same game, it kind of helps make it freaking easy to stay together for a long time.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
You know, and then talking about today, you know, that same exact thing. If you're not wanting to play the same game, it makes it difficult to...
It does.
Continue to...
Yeah, it's almost like if you're going to stay with somebody long term, that's almost the non-negotiable foundation that has to be there. And then maybe you've got other things that you can work on, go to counseling, get better at, grow in, deal with your trauma and all that sort of other stuff. But I think I agree with the point that you're saying. If you no amount of counseling or trauma work is going to make up for 2 people wanting to play different games. Yeah. They're just not going to be happy, or they're going to end up going their separate ways eventually.
Right.
And maybe their games they want to play is not being happy. Who knows? Maybe.
Right. Well, I think that's the challenging part is being somebody and then trying to identify that in somebody else to see if even what they're saying is actually the story or the game that they want to play. You know, they might be wanting to play a different game, but telling them a story because maybe they don't feel comfortable with you yet, or whatever the case may be, or they're still trying to figure out if it's worth it, if they want to be vulnerable, or
exactly.
I mean, it would make dating really easy if nobody was vulnerable and we all just said what the F we're going to be doing and what the story we want to play. You know what I mean? It would just be like, yep, there we go. I'm done.
I'm driving to Detroit tomorrow. If you're going to Detroit, hop in the car with me. If you're not, no problem.
Yeah. There you go.
Like that simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot there for sure. Like, first know yourself, and then have the skills and the courage to be vulnerable, expose the thing that you know about yourself, and then the other person to do the same thing, and then for you both to accept what's exposed, and then for you both to be able to tolerate when other stuff comes up that neither of you knew about. And then there's the change element, because most people don't stay the same substantially. They change over time. And so as you both evolve and emerge, or don't, one does and the other doesn't, could also cause conflict.
Yes.
And then do you stick with that person through it because of why? There's a lot there.
Lots.
Yeah.
Yep.
Human relationships. Why we make those so gosh darn confusing and difficult too.
I know.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like any of our other animal siblings or cousins get that.
Yeah.
Stressed out about it.
Yeah, consciousness adds a whole layer of complexity and issues to life.
Makes it fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I got through everything I wanted to say.
Sounds good. I can't wait for next time.
Next time, 10th episode, guest speaker. All right, guys.
Until next time.
Until then, see you.